back to ARC Tutorials. This is Testing Concept Series, and in today's episode we are going to learn all about behavior driven development testing. We'll start by learning what is BDD, and then we'll look into the details of BDD testing. What are some of the frameworks available, what are some of the advantages, and what are some of the disadvantages. This is part 17 of the series. Let's get started. If you have missed out on the previous concepts, please do check out the playlist. It has all the concept details which will help you learn and have continuity in your learning. Today we are at episode number 17. We are learning about behavior driven development testing. Before we start learning about BDD testing, I want to take a minute to talk about what is BDD. Behavior driven development is a software development methodology that focuses on defining the behavior of a software system in terms of user stories and scenarios. So think of it this way: BDD is more like a end-to-end testing where you define in plain English, you write user stories and you write scenarios. In user stories, we describe what is the desired behavior of the system, and then we break it down into smaller use cases or scenarios or specs, and then which describe the behavior in more detail. The scenarios are written in a natural language syntax, right? That particular syntax is called Gherkin, which allows any business analyst, technical analyst, developer, QA, anybody should be able to write it. Now remember, BDD is not only for QA. A lot of people think that BDD testing is only for QA or automation testers. No. As a full stack developer, as a solution architect, as a senior software developer, you should be comfortable writing BDD tests. It's written in Gherkin. You have to learn it. It's pretty straightforward and simple. It's just like more like an English language with a common scripts that you call and you define the steps, right? So now we know that what is BDD. Let's learn about what is BDD testing. Behavioral driven development testing, also known as behavior driven testing, is a testing approach that is based on the principles of BDD. BDD testing involves writing test cases in a more natural language syntax called Gherkin. Now, that language is so simple, it's just like a plain English which can easily be understood by QA, developer, business analyst, product owners, or anybody. We basically define the scenarios of what the system should do given, that means given some data, when this happens then the application should do this, etc. Right? So that's the plain language syntax that Gherkin follows. Now overall BDD helps in end-to-end scenarios. That way you don't have to keep on changing a unit test but cover the end-to-end tests. Like given when the user logs in, he should be able to see this, then he should be able to do this, fine, and then you do this, right? So that's the BDD structure. That's the BDD syntax of how we write it. Now, what are the tools? Some of the tools and frameworks available. There are several frameworks available. One of the most popular and leading ones, which I have also used in past in leading enterprises, is Cucumber. Not the cucumber you eat, but the cucumber we implement as part of our end-to-end testing. It's again written in Gherkin syntax, and we can automate using multiple programming languages. I have used in the past for end-to-end testing with Angular applications. You have JBehave, that's another open source BDD framework which helps us in writing, which is in Java. Its implementation is in Java, but you can similarly write Gherkin syntax. So if you learn Gherkin, you can play with multiple frameworks like Behat, Gauge, Cucumber, JBehave. All these are based on Gherkin syntax, right? So important thing to take away from this information is that you have to learn Gherkin syntax, right? Once you learn it, you can implement it in any language, any framework of your choice, be it in Java, be it in Cucumber, Selenium based, or you want to use Gauge, etc. Right? So get going with that and learn Gherkin. That's important. So let's talk about some of the advantages, right? The most advantage that I see is that BDD, it's written in Gherkin syntax, which is plain English types English, so which basically helps in collaboration, which helps in knowledge sharing, which helps in ensuring that uh, it's a shared understanding, right? Anybody can understand and help us improve it. For example, if you missed out on a step, somebody can help you add that. totally focuses on the user needs. Like I said, BDD is more of a behavior driven where we automate end-to-end scenarios. So here we are not worried about the technical aspects. Here we are more worried about the functionality of the system, like how it will behave with a certain data input. That's the end goal. When you do end-to-end testing, obviously you're trying to achieve a greater test coverage from a end user perspective, which means your end-to-end test coverage will be much higher and much stable, which means efficiency will be improved and your application will be much better equipped to handle any defect or issues that comes up as part of your regular workflows. And that's the most powerful thing about BDD testing. A lot of leading enterprises, companies already prefer BDD over any other end-to-end test because, like I said, it adds to all these advantages. So you need to get going with two things. One, pick up the Gherkin syntax. Second, choose any framework, BDD framework of your choice, and try to learn that because once you learn any framework, others would be similar. Alright, so now let's talk about some of the disadvantages. Okay, a lot of times it's pursued. Again, it's a total perception that it's complex. Now, it may look complex to some of the developers, but let me assure you, if you want to grow in your career as a full stack developer, as a lead, as a solution architect, you need to learn BDD. I can promise you, it is not really complex. You can pick it up, you can learn it. The learning curve will be there, but again, that is there for any other framework or tool that you talk about. Time and resources, maintaining the test cases, a large number of test cases over a period of time becomes really critical for success. uh, Once you change in an agile environment, if your functionality changes, if something feature changes, and then you have to go back and modify and maintain all the test cases, which can be really tricky in terms of time, effort, and all that. Now, dependence on automation. If once we have BDD in place, we need to make sure that our automation tools are running them properly. Report is generated. We need to maintain them. We need to check the logs. That becomes increasingly dependency on automation, but that's about it. With any automated suite, you will have the same issues. Again, limited focus. BDD is primarily focused on the behavior of the software or the application. So a lot of times you don't know how long it has taken to click that button, right? It has clicked the button, but you never know how long it took for that. So those are the aspects that gets missed out sometimes. Security aspects, timeout, etc. gets missed out. So those are the limited focus since you're running in an automated way. Um, so we need to manually also verify the details, logs, etc. Limited compatibility. Again, BDD tests are written in a specific syntax called Gherkin, which may not be compatible with all testing tools and frameworks. Again, BDD, whether to use BDD or not, is a choice that a company or a project makes. But once you decide to it, you need to make sure that whatever tools you have, whatever frameworks, whatever SaaS applications, whatever DevOps applications you have, all are compatible so that they can run, execute the BDD, should provide you the logs, data monitoring, etc. So those are some of the high level disadvantages that you can talk about with respect to BDD. Alright, that brings us to the end of this particular episode where we covered BDD testing. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you get to learn the testing series and the concepts, and you're really enjoying it as much as I'm enjoying bringing it to you. In the next episode, we will learn about what is alpha testing, and join me there. If you like my work and tutorials, please do consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/arctutorials. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next episode.